Hi, good afternoon and welcome to the webinar. We'll be getting started shortly. So good afternoon and a warm welcome to all the members who are joining us today in this webinar. And we'll be getting started now. And before we get started, there are a couple of things that I thought of sharing with you. And first and foremost, which is the most important point, is that the success of this webinar depends on you taking out your precious time and joining this webinar. Entirely depends on how properly you are able to understand the information that we are about to share with you in this webinar. And this is by any means not an educational session or a product demonstration. What I'll be sharing with you is how you can leverage technology to bring in more efficiencies into your existing business. So that's the objective of the webinar, and how you can benefit the most out of it is by understanding this information or clarifying what all doubts you may have in your mind about the information that I'm sharing, or with regards to technology or e-commerce. So please feel free to ask questions. Although you might be knowing that as a practice, we do a small question answer round wherein I answer all the questions and queries which are there related to this webinar at the end of the session. And definitely we'll be doing that in today's session as well. However, what will we do today, and that is after each section that, so I've divided the webinar into different sections, and after each section, I'll take a quick pause, and we can then have a small question answer, a mini question answer round, so that I can answer what all questions and queries that are there, and they are fresh in your mind, so you can have a better understanding of the information. Now, as I always say in the most or almost every session that I conduct, that one of the very important thing that we miss about the physical seminars and conferences was the opportunity to connect and network with other wonderful business owners. And now, as we are all meeting digitally, we can still use the digital platforms to do that. And how you can do that, I always encourage members, you can drop a small chat and let everyone in the audience know that who you are and what is your business and what products or services you sell and what is your location. And if you're comfortable, you can also share your contact information. So that way you can still utilize this opportunity to connect and network with other members. So those were 2 points that I thought of sharing before we get started with this webinar. And as I mentioned earlier, this is not an educational webinar or not a product demonstration. We are here to showcase in front of you how technology can be leveraged to make the existing processes more efficient and simpler as well. All right, so let's get started with today's presentation. And now I'll start sharing my screen and I'll take you all through the presentation. So let's get started. I'll just take a couple of seconds to get started. So I hope everyone can see my screen. I'll just quickly recheck that. and then we'll get started. So once again, before getting started, I would like to thank everyone for taking out time and joining us today. And let's get started with today's presentation. So before getting started, a quick introduction about myself. Sorry. So my name is Adnan, and I'm an e-commerce specialist with GlobalLinker. I have 1.5 decades of experience, and my focus areas are Linker.store, which is a DIY e-store builder platform, and strategic e-commerce initiatives in India and Philippines. In addition to this role, I'm also a avid public speaker, so I conduct regular training sessions and webinars in India and Philippines, and I've conducted around 300 such sessions and trained more than 10,000 SMEs in India and Philippines. So that was a small brief about myself. I'll also be sharing my contact information with everyone. So if you want to connect personally with me, please do feel free to connect with me. And now, before we get started, who is this webinar for and what you can achieve out of this webinar? You'll be spending a precious 1 hour of your life here. So what do you end or what you will achieve by spending this much time? So let's understand that. So this webinar is for every business owner, irrespective whether you are a manufacturer, you are a trader, or you are a retailer. This webinar will definitely benefit you. And what will you benefit out of this webinar? You'll understand what are the challenges, and being a business owner, no one is more aware of these challenges as compared to you. Still, I'll showcase a lot of challenges you might already be knowing, and I'll also highlight the other ones, and then we'll understand how digital can help solve those problems, and then how you can utilize or how you can digitize your business. So we'll also be briefly touching upon that point. So this is the webinar's roadmap. So we'll we'll get started with understanding what is supply chain. Then we'll move on to understand what are the challenges in the supply chain. Then we'll move on to understand what are the challenges in the ordering process. Now, you might be wondering why ordering process in the entire digital or B2B business. Why does in B2B business needs an e-commerce store? So why ordering process? Because that's the biggest challenge area when it comes to the B2B ordering part. Then we'll understand about the communication part. Then we'll understand also discuss briefly about the importance of trade partners and how being digital will also benefit your trade partners. And then how you can digitize. So that's the last topic we'll be touching upon. And then we'll break for a question answer round before concluding this webinar. All right, so let's get started. And the first topic that we are discussing today is supply chain. Now, this is where I'll be just sharing brief information about the supply chain. So, sorry. Now, before I start presenting this slide, you might be wondering why supply chain, and for the topic of the webinar was why how B2B business can benefit, and supply chain is something which is crucial for a B2B business to work. So that's why we are briefly touching upon the supply chain. Now, a business has typically two sides. One is the sourcing side, and second is the selling side. In today's discussion, we'll be discussing about the selling side of the business. Right? Now, you might be wondering what is a supply chain or what is a supply network. A lot of time people confuse it with the logistical or the courier network, whereas this is how you are making your products reach the end customer. So whether it is going through an intermediary, that is a retailer or a distributor, or you're supplying directly to the customer, then the customer can be a retail customer, or it can be an industrial customer or institutional customer. So irrespective, there are different models involved. But here, the discussion that we are doing is around how you are making the product reach the end customer, and what are the different models available, and how then you can leverage technology to optimize these models, right? So one of the common model that we see very commonly is where you, being a manufacturer, you are selling the products directly to the end customer. Now that end customer can be a factory, or it can be establishment who will be further using those products, or it can be end consumer who will be consuming that product. So this is typically referred as a D2C model. Then you have the single layer model, wherein you have a manufacturer, retailer, and then the customer. So you have one intermediary in this single layer model. And then you have the multi-layer model, where you can have, I have just showcased 2 layers, but you can even have more layers to it. So there you, as a manufacturer, you are supplying it to a distributor or a stockist or a super stockist, and then going to the retailer and then to the end customer. So that's the multi-layer model which exists. Now, again, circling back to objective, why are we having this discussion? To understand what are the different models which are being used to make the product reach to the end customer, right? And these intermediaries are also referred as trade partners, as an aggregate term, or as a generic term, right? So now, we'll in today's demonstration, we'll be using a supply network case study. So we'll be using this particular brand, which is a shoe manufacturing brand called Shoeco, and they have about 30 distributors and 3,000 retailers. So they use a multi-layer network to distribute or make their product reach the end customer. Now, a question that might be coming to your mind is why shoes, and why this kind of a network to discuss about a B2B business proposition? One is this is a model wherein B2B and B2C both are happening at the same time. So this is a relatively more complex network that we are discussing today. The second, why shoes? Because that's a very common product and everyone can easily relate to it. So almost everyone who's with us today is using that product. So it is a very common product and everyone can relate to it. So that's why we have used this as an example, right? So that was about the supply chain. We have briefly discussed about that. Now we'll quickly move on to the second leg in our journey, or second stage in our discussion, which is challenges. And what are the challenges which exist in a non-digital, or how you are operating your business in a non-digital format these days? So you have the same example that I shared with you, the same case study that we'll be using today. That is this particular brand, Shoeco. So they have retailers, distributor, and then we have the brand. So the 3 entities, and we'll be starting from the retailer, which is the customer fronting trade partner. So what are the challenges that they face? So quick order supplies from this for the store. So which means as a retailer, they would want to get supplies as quickly as possible for their stores, because their store's reputation as well as its P&L depends on it. If their store does not have the products which the customer are wanting, so there is a very limited possibility that those customers will come back, because they'll get an impression that this store does not have products. So as a retailer, it is kind of not only their responsibility, but also their duty that the store should remain properly stocked and the customer should get the desired product. Product not moving, what to do. So if certain products are not moving, then how can they share the feedback with the brand, or how they can get some special promotion done around those products so that those products can move out. Get quick updates on all the promotions and scheme which the manufacturer is doing. So in this case, retailer would want to get an update from the manufacturer in terms of if there's a promotional scheme happening, or if a new product launch is happening, how that information can be quickly shared with the retailer. And at the moment, in a non-digitized setup, that information goes through multiple heads and gets filtered out and is shared selectively. Share feedback with the brand. So because retailers are the customer front ending trade partners, and they have the most amount of customer or end user interaction, so they have the most amount of precious knowledge that the brand can utilize to make their products or offerings better. And how that in the non-digitized format, that information flow again is not very efficient and goes through multiple nodes, and a lot of time that information does not reach the brand in time. Right now, we'll quickly move on to the distributor, and this is where we'll quickly understand what are the challenges that they face as a distributor. So again, get orders quickly and regularly from retailers. Now, this is a little inverse to what we were discussing about the retailer. So for retailer, we were discussing that retailer wants to get supplies for their store as quickly as possible. At the same time, as a distributor, they would want to get orders from the retailers as quickly and as efficiently as possible, because if they are not getting the orders, the competitor will get that order. So that's why it is important that you get the order on time, get orders before the competitor. That is the second point itself. Quickly order supplies from the brand. So that is the third point, which is very similar to the scenario which, or the challenge which retailers also face, that how quickly and easily I can order supplies. And with distributor, because the volumes are humongous, and that's where the volume of supplies they would want, or the frequency at which they would want supplies from the brand, is also on a very higher side, and they would want to get supplies as quickly as possible as well. Get quick updates on promotions and scheme from the brand, and similarly they would also want to be informed about all the promotions or product launches, etc., which the brand or the manufacturer is doing. Lastly, share feedback. They also have a lot of feedback, and especially the trade partner feedback, which they are getting from the retailers, and they would want to share that promptly and easily with the brand. And in the non-digitized format, that again is not happening very efficiently. Moving on to the highest layer in this network, which is the manufacturer. And this is where as a brand, they would want to get orders from the suppliers as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. Easy and prompt share information about product launch, promotions, etc. So this is where how easily and quickly they can share the information about the product launches, etc. Seek and receive feedback from the trade partners. So the information that retailers or distributor would want to share with them, how easily and quickly they can get that information, educate and trade partners. And this is an area which a lot of brands have realized is a very critical area, and where earlier a lot of brands were not focusing, but now almost every brand or manufacturer is focusing greatly on this area, because the success of a business depends on the success of a brand. And this is where I'll just quickly share one example, and almost everyone I think should be able to relate to. So imagine if you go to a grocery store and you are looking for buying a particular chocolate, let's say Cadbury's Dairy Milk, and the store owner says that sorry, I don't have Cadbury's Dairy Milk, but I have this particular chocolate from Hershey's. It's a wonderful product, you should try it out. And there's also a special promotion going, and there's some discount which you can avail, and you can bet my words on it, you will, once you buy this, you would continue buying this. You would love this chocolate. So all that stuff he says, and you say, okay, let's try it out, and then you buy that product. So what was happening in this kind of a scenario, that particular store owner, which is a retailer and which is a trade partner in this case, was endorsing that product. Now, why that trade partner was endorsing that product? Because Hershey's might be giving them an extra commission or extra margin for their products. So that can be a case, or they may have empowered them reasonably. So that's where educating your trade partner, because trade partner success means the long-term survival and success for the manufacturer and the brand. Visibility of data and across the network. And this is the biggest challenge which happens in a non-digitized setup. This is where access to data is limited, firstly, and secondly, even if the data is available, it is pretty much dated data. So it's not a real-time data, it is a historical data which is available. And again, the problem with historical data is that you are reacting, and then when you are reacting late to it. Whereas with a real-time data, you have a greater possibility to adjust your processes and your flows in a better way. You can achieve a better planning and a better production control, better sales projections, etc. once you have a better access to the data. And that is the biggest challenge that comes using a non-digitized network, that you don't get good quality and timely data. Right. So that was about the challenges which are there in a non-digitized setup. Now, you might be wondering that I mentioned that we'll be breaking for a quick question answer session, but so far it is what we are discussing is something that is not very critical, or something that is which almost, I believe, everyone knew. I'm just representing it in front of everyone. We'll quickly discuss about the order processing part, which is the point number 3, or the stage number 3 into this presentation, and then we'll have a quick question answer round, because this is where I'll also show you glimpses of the live solution which is available, which you can utilize at this point of time to make your processes more efficient. So let's quickly proceed ahead. Right. So non-digitized supply network, or a B2B network, how does the order processing happens at this stage? So again, the same example, and we'll continue to use the same example across the presentation. So this is a shoe manufacturing brand, Shuko, and they are distributing their products, or making their products reach out to the end customer using a multi-layer distribution network, wherein they have distributors and retailers. Now, how does the order processing happens these days? So again, we'll start with the most important part in the entire network, or the most important participant in the entire network, that is the retailers. Now, how does the retailers typically order? And one of very common practice which is being followed is that they travel to bigger cities. So in Delhi, there are markets where retailers from the adjoining states come, and they'll visit and they'll buy products for their stores, and they'll go away, then they'll book the transport, and the transport will ship the products or make the products reach their place. So that's a common practice which is followed, not a very efficient one. Second is phone call, wherein the person is calling up the distributor and placing the order that I need these many products, or they'll be writing it on a piece of paper and sharing it using the message. That's the third one. Or a salesperson visits. That is also a very common practice, wherein the salesperson of the distributor will visit the retailers and understand what are their requirements, and they'll book the order. However, we have all seen during the pandemic what happened, and it became a critical issue or a critical challenge for the survival of retailers, because the retailers were running out of stock and there was no one who came to book their orders. So that's where that particular process has its merit, but at the same time, it is very person dependent, and not an efficient one as well. And in certain cases, email is also used to process or place orders. Now we'll move up on the distribution network ladder, and that's where we'll understand how a distributor typically places orders. So phone call is again a very common practice which is followed by messages. So this is where a WhatsApp message is being sent, or people will write it down on a piece of paper, click an image, and then send it to the manufacturer. Then salesperson visits. So similarly, brand salespersons visit the distributors and understand what kind of products they are looking for, and then they book the orders. Emails are also used for the ordering. And lastly, in certain cases, manufacturers have provided access to the ERP solutions of theirs to the distributors, so that distributors can directly place an order onto the ERP solution. So that is also a practice which is followed in certain cases. Now, what are the issues which happen? And this is where once there is a delay, second, it is not very convenient and efficient as well. There is a possibility of miscommunication, and this is where I'd like to tell you a case which happened with one of the friendly business owners that we have. So what happened? They had they were in the distribution of a FMCG product, and one of their retailer listed down the items on a piece of paper and clicked a photograph and send it to them, that these are the items that I'm looking at. The person or the business owner just forwarded that to the processing team, and they fulfilled the order. Now, what happened? That person was looking for 30 pieces of a particular item, but the person who was processing the order at the manufacturer end read it as 80 pieces, and then they overshipped that item. And the retailer did not have a requirement for that much item, so he refused to take that delivery, and those items were to be taken back from there to the another distributor. So there was an unnecessary logistical spend which was incurred because of that misinterpretation of 3 and 8. Inaccurate ordering. So that's exactly where a lot of quantities go here wire. Unnecessary logistical expenses, and that is what you can relate to the example that I was just sharing, wherein a person misread 30 and 80, and that's where excessive units were sent. And in inverse of that can also happen. There could have been a scenario wherein the person actually wanted 80, and the person might have or the salesperson might have read it as 30, and they may have shipped less item. Even in that case, the second shipment has to be sent, and that was again a wasted logistical expenses or unnecessary logistical expenses. Loss of business. Now, you might be wondering why loss of business. So in these kinds of scenarios wherein the process is not efficient, it leaves gap for competitors to step in and to grab that business which is left open. And that's where, if your person is late in visiting the store, a competitor person visits early, and they might be able to convince the retailer to buy a greater quantity of their products as compared to your products, and leading to a loss of business. That might be minuscule if you're looking at in isolation, but if it keeps happening repeatedly, then you may end up losing a significant share of market over a period of time if that keeps happening. So that those are the challenges. Now we'll quickly understand how ordering process can be simplified. And this is where, as I mentioned, I'll be giving you a glimpse of the solution which is available on the GlobalLinker platform itself, which you can utilize to make this process efficient. And what we are talking about is the ordering process and B2B ordering process. So this is where what I'll do is I'll switch my screen and I'll take you to a website. And this is the Shuko's e-commerce website, the same brand that we were discussing earlier. Now, this is a dual purpose website. And when I say dual purpose, what it means is that this website can be used for taking orders from B2C, that is a retail customer who will be buying 1 or 2 units for their own consumption, or from a B2B operator, which can be a distributor or which can be a retailer who will be buying from you in bulk. And as we are all gathered here to discuss about the B2B process and how getting an e-commerce website can simplify that. So this is where I'll just quickly demonstrate how a B2B ordering can be simplified using this. So this is where I've just scrolled down, and here you can see a distributor login section. So this is where a trade partner can log in. So all they have to do is to type in their contact number and get an OTP, and using the OTP verification, they'll be able to log in. And a prospective trade partner who's not yet associated with Shuko but is interested to become a trade partner can fill in the details on the right side where my cursor is. And let me just quickly annotate that for your reference, so you'll get a clarity on what I am referring to. So this particular section is specifically for prospective trade partners who are interested to become associated with this brand. And this is where they have to enter the contact number. And once they have entered the contact number, they'll get an OTP. So I'll just quickly do that. And then we'll get started. So I'll just wait for a minute to get the OTP. But in the interim, I'm seeing no chats, no messages from anyone so far. So I hope everyone is able to understand the information that I'm sharing. So I have the OTP now. I'll just quickly enter it here. So now what has happened is I have logged in as a trade partner. And when we say trade partners is a generic term which is used to refer to people, your B2B buyers, right? So I have logged in as a B2B buyer who's already empaneled or who's already associated with this particular shoe brand. And now I can go to different categories and I can start buying. So for example, I like this product and I would want to place an order. So I can just open that product, and here what you can see is there is a special discount that I'm getting. So I'll just quickly highlight that for everyone's reference. So here you can see I'm getting a 10% discount, and because Shuko brand has earmarked that whenever Adnan is ordering from our store, he should get a 10% discount for all the products. Now, having said that, there is also one more element that you might be seeing here, and what I have highlighted for everyone's reference is the quantity, in which you can see is automatically at 15 units. What does that mean? That means that whenever I'm placing an order, minimum I have to buy 15 units per size. So irrespective which all size I'm buying, I'll have to buy minimum 15 units of each of the size. And that's the minimum purchase commitment I may have with the Shuko brand, or they may have a bulk pack that may have a quantity restriction. So for example, for soft drinks like Pepsi or Coke, they have pack sizes of 6, 12 and 24 bottles. So that's where it can either be a pack size requirement, or it can be a mutual understanding as well between the seller and the buyer. So whichever the case may be, that can be accommodated using the digital solution which is available. So this is where I have selected the product and I've added to the cart, and I'll just quickly take you to the cart for a moment. And this is where you can see credit balance, and let me just annotate that as well. So here what is happening is the order total was about 3 lakh rupees, and I got a 30,000 discount on it. And then I can use the credit which the Shuko brand is providing to me, and I can place this order without paying anything. And this is similar to the credit that you might be giving to your trade partners or your B2B buyer, because credit is a very common phenomena in B2B businesses. And this is where if you are already giving credit, you can offer or extend the same using the digital platform. And the advantage that you get is that now the technology or a system is monitoring that. So it is not just based on your memory that you have to collect payment from this individual on that day. So for here, in my case, if I place this order, and I have a 30-day credit period with Shuko. So on the 25th day, I'll get a notification that I have to pay back to Shuko this much amount, and it will also have a payment link so I can easily process that payment. At the same time, it will also inform the designated team members from the brand or the manufacturer that they have to collect this much amount from Adnan. And that's how the collection or the payment management also gets controlled through a system only, right? So that was about how ordering process can be digitized. So this is where, as a trade partner, all I have to do is to click on continue and place this order, and the products will get shipped to me. And then on the stipulated date and time, I have to just pay back to the brand, and then I can proceed on to process or place the next order. And that's how the big concern, which was around order processing, and in the last slide you already saw, there were different processes or methods which were followed to place an order. Now, using this kind of a solution, and which can be operated using a smartphone, you don't need a laptop, you don't need a desktop to do all this. Sitting at the convenience of their store or they're at home, a B2B buyer can simply come here and they'll be able to place an order. You may have institutional buyers who would want to get a quotation and get an approval from their internal team, and that capability is also available. So you can generate the quotation from this platform itself. So they can come, they can select the desired products, and they can at the checkout stage, they can download the quotation, get an approval, and then they can continue to place an order. So that capability is also available to capture or to accommodate the institutional buying requirement. So this is where I'll just quickly go back to our presentation. And before moving on to the pillars of the supply network, I just thought of requesting everyone that if you have any question, if you have any query, please chat that to me. You can share that via medium of chat, or you can ask the question, and we'll just take a quick 30-second break to see if there are any questions or queries from the audience. So perfect. I can see there are no questions. So we'll just quickly move on to, and this is the second part of the discussion, and related to what I showed to you in a glimpse of the live solution which is available. So this is where we'll quickly touch upon the pillars of the supply network. Sorry. Yeah. So discount, minimum order quantity, credit, and visibility control. So visibility control is something that is not very common, but in certain industries it is typically used. And similarly at a distributor level, again, same controls they would want. So when I'm saying pillars of supply network or pillars of B2b buying, and this is where you would want to extend a special discount to your B2B buyer, or you would want them to buy X number of quantities, only then they'll get the discount. You would want to offer them certain credit, and you would may want to have certain visibility control, that you would not want to show certain products to certain B2B buyer. So sometimes there is a geographic restriction or requirement restrictions, etc. So based on your requirement, you can also administer visibility control. Now, why are you seeing these under brand as well as distributor? Because distributor is also an entity that is involved in B2B business, and this is where they are doing a bulk ordering, or they are receiving bulk orders from the retailer, although they are part of a larger supply network. But they would also want to offer discount, or they would also want to offer special discount to their B2B buyer and minimum order quantity, again in the similar fashion, credit and visibility. And in the similar fashion, what a brand or a manufacturer would want to do. So what I intend to present to the audience here is the fact that a lot of time when people are perceiving the solution, they get an impression that this is something which is only for the manufacturers or only for the brands. No, this can be utilized by a distributor, or if you're an intermediary, because the start of the presentation, if you recall, I showed we had that small discussion that who is this, or who are the audience for this webinar and who will benefit out of this webinar. So if you are a retailer, if you're a distributor, or if you're a brand, everyone will benefit using this, or everyone can benefit using this technology solution. So this is where I wanted to highlight that and clarify that doubt, that even if you are a distributor, even if you're an intermediary who is buying from someone and selling to someone, still you can utilize technology to simplify and bring in efficiencies into the process. And again, it is fairly a modular setup. So you can decide which all modules are of interest to you, and you can get them deployed as per your requirement, right? So this is where how pillars of distribution network can be managed using the digital ecosystem. So little while ago, I showed you the glimpse of the front end capability, which a bulk buyer will be using to place order or buy products in bulk. Now I'll quickly take you through the back end and where how this entire management happens. So this is the seller panel of this particular Shuko brand store. And here you can see there is a special module for supply chain. And I'll just quickly click on supply or slabs. And this is where you can see the different slabs which are available. And so what happens here is you can create different slabs for discount, credit, product visibility, or MOQ control. So if I can edit, click on edit and show to you. So this is the discount slab which I've created, and this slab can be created store wise or category wise, product wise, or brand wise. And we also have taken care of the net price concept, which is typically followed in consumer durable or white good industries. So a discount slab can be created and then assigned to a trade partner. How that is done, I'll also explain it to you. Similarly, a credit slab can be created, wherein how much credit is to be given and what value of credit is to be given can be specified. Then is the MOQ slabs. This is where the minimum order quantity can be specified. And this is where, again, in the similar fashion, you can specify whether the minimum order quantity restriction is across the store. So irrespective, whatever they are buying, they'll have to buy minimum these many units, or you can even go navigation, which is category wise. So if you have certain categories which have slow mover products, so in that case, you can have a smaller or a less number of minimum order quantities, whereas in other categories, you can have higher number of minimum order quantities. Visibility control, as I have said earlier as well, it is an optional field and is typically used by members who are selling products territorially. So if they have certain products which are sold or consumed in a particular territory only, so in that case, that visibility control is applied. So again, explaining this with an example. So there's a member who is into cosmetic products, and they have a range of products which is a premium luxury line products, and they don't showcase those products to the B2B buyers who are from tier 3 cities, because those products are not relevant for them, and even if they are buying it, it won't sell. And again, that would create a negative impression about the brand, and brand would not want to get into that kind of situation. So what brand does is that they impose visibility control. So whenever a tier 3 or a distributor or a bulk buyer from a tier 3 city is buying, they'll not see those products altogether. That entire category gets hidden. So that is what the visibility control capability which is available. Now, the question that might be coming to your mind is that, okay, he has explained how these slabs can be created, and I've just created 3 slabs here. So if you are wondering only 3 slabs can be created, no, you can create as many number of slabs as you want. I've just created 3 for demonstration purpose. Now, the second part which or the second question that might be coming to your mind is that, okay, we have created this slab. Now, how does I ensure that if trade partner A is ordering, they get this discount. If trade partner B is ordering, they get Y discount. So how does that is done? So this is where the second section comes into play, which is manage trade partners. And this is where, other than whenever you're onboarding trade partners, other than adding their contact details, you can specify how much discount they'll get, how much credit they'll get, what will be the minimum order quantity restrictions, and what will be the visibility control. So all that can be highlighted. So here you can see different trade partners are onboarded, and then different discount, minimum order quantity, and visibility slabs are also mentioned. Now, whenever you are onboarding a trade partner, they'll immediately get a SMS and an email that a particular brand or a particular store has onboarded them as a B2B buyer, and they can use their contact number to log in and place an order. Now, you can also onboard your buyers in a bulk process. So you can you do an Excel file. So if you have hundreds or thousands of B2B buyer, you can also onboard them onto the platform here. We also have this capability. So if it is ticked, what will happen is whenever you are adding new products or new catalog, automatically all the trade partners will get a notification that a new catalog or new products are launched, and they can immediately order, and they'll also be able to pull the products onto their online store. And I'll just quickly switch screen for a moment to show you that particular capability. So this is where I've just for a moment switched screen, and now I am in Premium Shoes, which is one of the distributors of Shuko brand. So Premium Shoes is exclusive Shuko distributor, and I'm in the Premium Shoes control panel. And what I'm trying to demonstrate to you is the capability that a distributor can pull the products directly from the supplier or bulk buyer's website, so they don't have to re-upload them. So this is where the stores are already mapped. I have to just click on pull products, and I can see the catalog, and I'll be able to pull any of the products as per my requirement. And I can also specify which category they should get uploaded. So the entire network gets interlinked, and all of them can start utilizing the digital platform capability for their requirements. So this is how the pillars of the digital ecosystem work. So this is where we have reached the fourth leg of our discussion today, or the fourth stage of our discussion, that is communication, and how communication happens in the non-digital system or non-digital ecosystem as compared to a digital ecosystem. That's exactly what we'll be discussing today. So product launch or campaign rollout, how it is done in a non-digital ecosystem. So this is where as a brand, and campaigns or product launch are typically initiated at the brand level. They don't come bottom up, they always go top down. So this is where what are the practices, or what are the mediums which are used to inform the distribution network or inform the trade partners that there's a new product launch happening, or there's a promotion, or there's a scheme which is being offered. So phone call, messages, salesperson visit, emails are typically used. So what does phone call mean? So this is where this manufacturer's team will be calling up all the distributor. Hey, we are doing a product launch on this particular date, and tell all retailers. Now this is where they are greatly or significantly dependent on distributors to pass on that information. So they pass on the information to the distributors, and then distributors will pass on the information to the retailers. Second is messages. So again, in the similar fashion, and salesperson visit, this is where the salesperson will visit the distributor and tell them, okay, there's a product launch happening, or there's a new scheme coming up on this particular date. And then again, distributor has to further spread that information, and then the email is also used as one of the communication mechanism. Then we have at the distributor end, if they have to broadcast that information to the retailer or the entire network, they have to use the phone call. And at the distributor level, the challenge is even significant, because now the number of distributor is fairly less as compared to the number of brands or the number of retailers which are there. So in Shuko's case, we saw there were 30 distributors and 3,000 retailers. So distributor has to put in a significant amount of effort to broadcast that information and share it and make everyone and anywhere aware about the development. Message salesperson visit, and similarly email is used to broadcast this information. Now, what is the probability that all the trade partners will get the information? The probability is definitely not 100%. So whatever it can be, it is not 100%, because there is interdependencies, and obviously with interdependencies and intermediary or more channels or more heads getting added to the communication chain, the dilution or the probability of dilution of information increases significantly, right? So that was how digital can simplify the campaign rollout and communication across the supply network or across the B2B network. So this is where again I'll switch screen and I'll show you a glimpse of a solution. So this is the Shuko solution, and this is not the screen. This is the screen which I wanted to show it to you, and this is wherein a trade partner was to have logged in. This is what they'll see. So what all is there on the screen, that will take a lot of time. So we'll first tackle the point that we were discussing, and the point that we were discussing, or what I wanted to showcase to you, is how technology can make this efficient or make this simple. So what all do we have on the screen that can tell these trade partners that there's a product launch happening, or there is a new promotional scheme which is coming up? So again, I'll just turn on the annotation and let me start highlighting. So here you're seeing the brand update section. So whenever the brand is sharing an update, it will be showcased here. So brand update will come here, and people can see the update. So whenever brand is doing an update, everyone in the networks, irrespective whether they are distributor or retailer, they'll get an update that there's an update from the brand. So that was the brand update. In the center of the screen, you can see there's a post which is done by a designated member from the Shuko brand. So this is another medium which can be utilized, and this is again a post which has happened, and everyone who's part of the community will see this post. Now, the third, and which is more specific, is this particular section which you are seeing, schemes and offer. And this is where as a brand or as a distributor, you can create schemes and offers, and those can be showcased to your trade partners, and they can understand more about the schemes and offer, and they can apply that onto their stores, their physical and digital stores. All that can be applied, right? So that was one part. Now, if I just quickly scroll down, so this is where you'll see resources and event. Now, this is also a very important capability, and around the same lines. So this is where when you are sharing with your trade partners and your trade partner network that there's a promotional scheme happening, or there is a visual merchandising scheme that is taking place, campaign that is taking place. So you would also want to share certain resources with them. So this is a social media guidelines, or this is how you can dress up your storefront, or this is how you can put up the danglers, etc. Or you'd want to educate them. So this is where resources and event capability comes into play. And now I would like to highlight this fact that this is not what all information is getting added here is within the community itself. So this is within the trade partner network itself. No one outside can have a visibility to this information. So this is between you and your trade partners who can see this information. And again, you can also go selective. So for example, you want to do an event for the trade partners from Maharashtra, so you can do that. You can even make it exclusive if you want, or you want to do it with trade partners from certain territory. You can also do that. So that was about resources and events. And if I scroll up, this is another important section. I just thought of touching base. Well, also conscious of the time. So that's where I'm not spending too much time. There's a lot of other stuff that we can discuss, but I'm just quickly avoiding that. But this is where I just sort of highlighting. This is where another big challenge that a lot of brands face, and when they have a team that is managing different territories, is that whenever a switch happens or a change happens, then a lot of trade partners are left entirely blank. They are not sure whom to reach out, or whom to share the feedback, or whom to connect if they want to raise a concern, or if they want to place an order, or they have any other concern or query. So this is where, because the person is just one click away. So if a trade partner, if I want to connect, I can just send a message to Sumer and I'll be able to connect. Similarly, whenever the switch is happening, so whenever Sumer is moved to a different territory and another person comes in, so I can immediately connect, and the Shuko can introduce that person digitally with the entire trade partner network very easily. Now, this is where another very important part I want to highlight is that this is not where you're just solving your own problem. This capability also has a provision wherever you can offer your distributors and retailers to also create an online store. So this is where you, as a Shuko brand, has created an online store, and you are offering online ordering facility or digital ordering facility to your B2B customers. Now, similarly, your trade partners who can be a distributor or retailer can also create an online store for themselves. Now, this is not necessary, but you can also leverage this capability, and this capability will allow you to solve their problem as well, and also make them digitally efficient. And above all, it will give you permanent branding spaces. So all the distributors or retailers who are creating a store using your solution, they'll have permanent branding on their store. So that is eyeballs for lifetime, and free of cost, that you'll get free advertising for lifetime that you'll get using this kind of a capability. So that is another thing that I wanted to highlight, and that will be definitely a mirror copy of the sponsoring store. So this is the premium store, this is the Shuko store, and they have the same catalog. So that is another capability that kicks in as soon as the trade partner is joining the solution. So that's the digital catalog capability. And then the trade partner. So for example, a distributor, which is the British Trading Company, has joined this solution. So they have now created their store, and this is their store. For example, Premium Shoes is a British Trading Company store. Now, what they can do is they can also offer this solution to their own retailers. So this is where the train is not stopping just at one level. So it is going beyond. And now British Trading, which is a Shuko distributor, can offer the same solution to all the retailers who are associated with them. So that is where it expands in a broad basis, and people will be able to expand that to the retailers. And now retailers can also create an online store for themselves, and they can also start benefiting the online ordering and digital capabilities which come part of the solution. And again, certain branding will always remain locked for the Shuko brand, because that's the sponsoring brand or the sponsoring organization. So that was quickly about the communication part. Trade partner, this is something that I believe everyone is aware of. So I'll just quickly read out these points. So a trade partner, needless to mention, they are the brand ambassadors of the solution, and they invest in the brand. They take risk on the brand, and they provide the necessary geographic coverage. Trade partner growth is equal to the brand growth, and we have already discussed how you can utilize the resource and event capability to not only educate and provide necessary training and empowerment to your trade partners. And this is where also one more capability I thought of highlighting is the events, the exclusive offers capability, which you are seeing here. So this is where as an organization, if you have certain exclusive tie-ups, let's say with a signage maker or a shelving solution provider or a shuttering solution provider or a point of sale solution provider, you can also extend that to your entire trade partner community. That is something that you can do. In addition to that, GlobalLinker already has a number of exclusive offers which are available to SMEs, and those can also be extended to the trade partner network. So that is exclusive offers which can be extended and that can benefit the trade partner community. So now we are at the sixth stage, how you can digitize, and this is again a very simple and straightforward process. So you have to sign up on GlobalLinker, and then you have to create an online store, connect with the GlobalLinker team, or you can do that at the first stage as well, and we'll enable the digital supply chain capability for you. And then lastly, you can start utilizing the digital supply chain capability and the brand linker capability to grow your business. Right. So this is where we'll just now break for the question answers session. So before we do that, a quick presentation about GlobalLinker.
GlobalLinker has enabled the reinvention of many of the 300,000 plus SMEs globally, helping them to create an online presence and grow their businesses in a new digital world. You too can grow your business with GlobalLinker. Create your digital profile so more people can discover your business and connect with you. Create digital business catalogs. Make new business connections. In today's world of business, your network is your net worth. Over 1 million new connections have been made between buyers, suppliers, investors, peers, and experts. Create your own e-commerce store for free in minutes. Consumers are going digital, and your business needs to as well. GlobalLinker has helped tens of thousands to go online for the first time. Benefit from over 100 specially curated business offers and more. Access online training sessions to grow your business. Participate in international digital fairs. We help businesses like you digitize in a matter of minutes and thrive even in challenging times.
GlobalLinker forms a brilliant part of networking, especially because all of us today are pretty much connected via the net. So you can reach out to a large number of potential clients through a platform like GlobalLinker.
The fact that GlobalLinker can also offer, services like getting your website built, your e-commerce store built, it's really, really invaluable.
GlobalLinker ensures that there is a platform for genuine business contacts to be developed, B2B contacts, which are very important for any business in terms of procurement or in terms of the sales end as well.
We feel that this kind of initiative will increase India's globalization move. We can tie up with the different SMEs who are operating across the globe.
Visit GlobalLinker every day and download the mobile app to stay connected. GlobalLinker, making SME business growth simpler, more profitable, and enjoyable.
So this was a small presentation about GlobalLinker, and this is where, before concluding the presentation, I mentioned that I'll be sharing my contact details. So these are my contact details. I'll also chat these details, or I'll also add them in the chat. So you can note them down, or if you want, you can take a screenshot of the screen as well at the moment. So I'll stay on the screen for a few seconds. All right, so this is where I'll stop sharing my screen, and this is where I will again invite questions from the audience. If you have any particular question, if you have a query, please do let us know, and I'll be more than happy to answer your queries. I'll also be sharing my contact details. Just a quick second. So I've just chatted to everyone my contact details. So please feel free to connect with me. I'll be more than happy to connect with you on the GlobalLinker platform. And we can also meet over a half an hour one-on-one session so that I can understand more about your business and I can recommend an appropriate solution to you. And that's something that I'll strongly recommend. So please do reach out to me. I have also shared my contact number, so you can drop me a note on when you would want to have that half an hour one-on-one session, so I can share the we can meet and we can understand more about your business, and I can suggest a suitable technology solution that you can leverage. All right, so this is where, as I'm seeing, there are no more questions from the audience. I think this is where we should conclude our session. Once again, before concluding the session, thank you everyone for taking our time and joining us today in this webinar. And I look forward to meeting you all in half an hour one-on-one session. So thank you everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.